colors right now and possibly very vibrant within the very near future. I'd say within a week or so.
The leaf peepers are going to be out and about.
It will be.
Is there a technical term for that?
I like that one. We're going to start using that one. That's scientific from this day forward.
Hello, welcome to Weatherwise. I am meteorologist Nathan Scott, and October is here. The colors of the leaves are starting to change. So joining me right now, I have the tree expert. This is Jarrett Rushing. He's from the University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture. You're the tree expert, so let's talk about it because everybody's wondering when the peak colors are going to be happening here in the natural state. But let's talk about the science behind the changing of the fall colors.
Absolutely. You know, the leaves are going to change here very, very soon. You know, thanks to the cold front that you meteorologists ushered in, we're going to start seeing a lot of color changes. But it's interesting on how it all happens. The thing is chloroplasts within the leaves are responsible for photosynthesis. Within the chloroplasts, there are 3 different pigment types. One of them is chlorophyll, which is the green matter, and we see that all the time. All the leaves are green. But whenever it starts dying off in the fall, all of a sudden the other 2 get exposed. That's the carotenoids, you know, kind of put 2 and 2 together. Carrot, carotenoids, that's the yellow and the oranges. And then your anthocyanins, which are your purples and your reds.
Okay, and we do have a chart on that in case you missed it because those are some big words.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I don't remember learning about that in 5th or 6th grade science, that anthocyanins, but the carotenoids, that's the same pigment that makes carrots the color they are, right?
It is. It's the same one. And again, you can look at the first part of the spelling there where it says C-A-R-O-T and just think carrots are orange. That's the type of coloration you're going to get with the leaves whenever those pigments are exposed.
And different trees have the different pigments. Not all trees have anthocyanins. Do they all have carotenoids?
They have both pigments, but sometimes they're a little bit stouter on one versus the other. Think about it as a sandwich. If you take your bread, that is always going to be your chlorophyll because it's the thicker layer. Below that, if you have your cheese, that's going to be your carotenoids. And then whatever you decide you're going to spread on your sandwich, mayonnaise, mustard, whatever, that's kind of your base layer for your anthocyanins.
So around August, September, we start to see the daylight become shorter and shorter. And we're losing almost 2 hours of daylight per day now, or 2 minutes, 2 hours, that'd be crazy. That's more like Alaska. 2 minutes of daylight per day. You factor that in, so when does it tell the tree, okay, now is the time to really stop producing chlorophyll and let the color phase change?
Great question. So what we see is the time change. Whenever we shorten our days, you can automatically assume that colder weather is coming as well. It's just one goes with the other. The colder weather basically ushers in a signal to the trees that says, hey, it's time to go into a hibernation or a dormancy of sorts. But what we're really looking for is nighttime temperatures around 49 to 50 degrees or below, and that is the telltale trigger right there that'll get everything started.
And we really haven't gotten that here too much in Arkansas. I mean, Central Arkansas, I think the lowest temperature that Little Rock has seen so far has been like 50, 55 degrees. We were expecting it to be a little bit cooler last week, but it didn't drop to 52. It stayed at like 55. And it's late in the season because you look at this on an average year, we should be seeing temperatures into the 40s this time of year. How is that going to impact the fall colors here in Central Arkansas?
That's a great question as well. So it's going to prolong them a little bit. What we're going to see is the peak viewing time for the fall foliage down here in Central Arkansas stretch out into mid-November. And it's just a byproduct of the weather that we're having, very lack of rain. We're all pretty well in a drought right now of some sort, and that has a heavy effect on what the trees are doing as well. Not to mention, again, the weather, the temperatures, nighttime temperatures, aside from the cool front that's coming in this weekend, that might expedite things a little bit, but we haven't seen that sub 50 degree night yet in Central Arkansas all the way down to Louisiana. Once we get those, it will expedite this and make those trees start dropping their leaves pretty rapidly.
And the color change can happen within, it seems like, one day they're green, and then we drop down to 45 degrees, and then you wake up the next morning, you're like, "Whoa, that tree that's changed." Is it my imagination, or does the change really happen that quick?
It really does, and different species are more susceptible to do that than others. If you've ever seen a ginkgo tree, for instance, which they are native to Arkansas way down the line, a ginkgo will essentially turn yellow to orange all in one night and then drop almost the very next day. It's just their natural process. Black gums are the same way. Black gums will turn reddish to purple, and then they'll drop. And right now we've even seen black gums already starting to drop. There are other trees that are dropping as well, such as black cherries and some of your red maples. But yes, it can happen just like that.
Let's talk about the conditions now for the perfect fall color. I've got the graphic here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the sunshine, because that's an important factor. Why is that the case?
Well, of course, you know, the chlorophyll is in the leaves, and they are the ones that are helping with the photosynthesis process. So whenever you have reduced sunshine or sunlight, it basically messes up that chemical imbalance, or that chemical balance that is used for photosynthesis. Essentially what you have is carbon dioxide is taken in by the leaves. You have the chemical reaction, which is sunlight. That is what starts everything. And as a byproduct, trees will produce sugars to feed on for the entire year and store up energy. And also a byproduct, our favorite thing in the world is oxygen.
So we have to have sunshine. If we don't have a lot of sunny days, then you run into almost like a muting of the color. The colors aren't as vibrant. You don't get those true beautiful reds and oranges. There's more dull and toned down. I've seen that happen.
Absolutely.
And it's disappointing. You wait all year for a really nice fall color display, and then the weather can impact it. Just a week time can make a huge difference, it seems like.
It can.
Now let's talk about temperature, because we did mention that ideally for nighttime lows, we have to be 50 degrees. And for the daytime highs, you probably want 70s. We've been dealing with 80s, almost close to 90. How does that impact everything?
Again, it's just prolonging everything. These trees don't realize that summer is not over yet. They don't know that we're in fall season, and that's a terrible thing to have happen whenever you're expecting the fall colors. But again, with any luck, we'll have a couple of good cold fronts push through here in the next couple of weeks, and we'll all start seeing those colors.
Usually, Northwest Arkansas typically has seen their first frost this time of year.
Yes.
They have not seen that just yet. We don't want to go from a situation where, okay, it's been very warm, and then all of a sudden a really chilly Arctic air mass moves in, and then we get a frost and freeze, because that can also do damage to the color if we get below freezing. Am I right about that?
Yes, if we go below freezing, if we get sub-freezing temperatures, then the trees will go into automatic dormancy, which means that they'll just shed their leaves. I love using analogies, and everybody with the hot topic right now being bears understands kind of the bear structure. They eat all summer long, they feed up, and then they go straight into hibernation in the winter. Trees are the same way. All they're doing is feeding all year long, making their food, and then whenever the temperatures get right, the daylight gets right, they're going to go into hibernation as well, and that can happen almost overnight in sub-freezing temperatures.
I've seen it happen in Northwest North Carolina, where one weekend it's like, oh, it's almost there. The peak is almost there. This is going to be amazing. And then they get a freeze, temperatures are into the 20s. You go back and the colors are brown. They're muted. And you're just like, oh, just so disappointing, because I've been waiting to get this perfect picture. Like I showed you earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, it really changes year to year.
It does.
On how vivid or dull the colors can be. You could just take a picture year to year at the same point in the calendar, and you can see the change.
Absolutely. You know, we talked about this a little bit earlier ourselves, that Facebook is a great tool. It can be a burden sometimes, but I love going back and looking at my memories from Facebook. Just the other day I saw one where the daytime highs in South Arkansas were in the mid 70s, and that was just a few years ago, and we haven't seen a mid 70 high in I guess about May or even April. So it's amazing what the weather does on a yearly basis, for sure.
Yeah, because last year, I think the record yesterday was 91. We hit 91 last year, and then we dropped down to 37 a week later.
That's it.
And that's got to impact the trees in some way. Rain, too much rain, not enough rain also causes some issues. So let's talk about that aspect.
Yeah, so what we have is whenever a tree goes into a drought type of situation, what they run into is a stress factor that they're not really expecting. So they've got all of this extra storage that they built up, and they have to use that now to survive rather than put it out to their leaves for the normal photosynthesis process. Whenever that happens, the trees, they start basically cutting things out that they don't need, such as their leaf production. They're actually in survival mode is what it is. Once we have a lot of rain, it can still do the same thing, especially if you keep roots completely submerged in water for too long, then you will develop certain diseases like root rots or things of that nature that will ultimately stress the tree and potentially kill it.
And we are dealing with drought in parts of the state.
We are.
We've had some rain. Some parts of the state are doing really well in terms of how much rainfall they've seen. Other parts of the state, I'm going to show you this in just 1 second. Let's go through this graphic here. And there's the latest drought monitor that came out October 9th. You look at that, and unfortunately, from where you're from, Southeast Arkansas, you still have moderate to even severe drought in that part of the state where the dark orange is, and also North Central Arkansas, Northeast Arkansas under a severe drought. Different story though in Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville. It looks like it should be a really nice fall color season for Fayetteville, Bentonville, those areas, it seems like.
Absolutely. And the thing is I checked some social media outlets today, and they are showing that fall colors are starting to arrive in Northwest Arkansas. So all of you people up there on the hill, you should be seeing some color changes right now, and possibly very vibrant within the very near future. I'd say within a week or so.
The leaf peepers are going to be out and about.
They will be.
Is there a technical term for that?
Hey, I like that one. We're going to start using that one. That's scientific from this day forward.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about where some of the best places are to check out fall color this year. That's coming up next here on Weatherwise. Stay tuned. We talked about the science behind the fall color change here in the natural states and really across the United States, of course. Now we're going to talk about some of the best places to check out vivid fall colors this season. This is a map that I made earlier, about a month ago. I guess it still kind of holds. I was expecting us to stay on the warmer end through the month of October, and that certainly has been the case. So when we look at this map, we're looking for the expectation of when the peak will happen, and looks like it's going to be pretty close to maybe just before Halloween or just after Halloween for these areas, the Buffalo River into Northwest Arkansas, the Purple area, and then getting into Russellville, Clinton, Batesville, Yell County, early November, mid-November. Do you agree with this, or do you think we should make some changes in this?
Well, looking at that graphic right there, I think that you ought to be a natural resource professional, because I think you hit it right on the head. Everything there looks really good. I think that you hit the late October, early November dead on the head for peak for the Fayetteville, Jasper area. You can see a lot of vibrant colors up there, especially in the Ozark and the upper Ouachita Mountains, because the temperatures up in the mountains are going to be a little cooler than they are in the flatlands on the southern part of the state. That's the reason the graphic kind of migrates south there. But from what I see there, I think you've got a perfect example there of what it's going to be. And those of you that are leaf peepers, as we just discussed a minute ago, for the central Arkansas region here, definitely get out to the Hot Springs area, Garvin Gardens, Woodlands, places like that, and go visit those places in mid to late November and check out those fall colors.
Highway 7, very popular, very beautiful area when you go through Pope County into Newton County. There's winding roads. Yes, they might give you a headache, or you might get road sick, some people, because they're so windy, but it is really spectacular, the color that you can see. And when we talk about going up in Northwest Arkansas, we're going up in elevation. So that's why they are more likely to see a frost and freeze before we do here in Central Arkansas. But along with that, you look at a mountainside and it may be different just on the mountain by itself. You may have a pop of color here that, a few hundred trees look amazing, and then other parts of the mountain may not be the case. So why is that the reason?
Go back to a picture that you showed me a little bit ago. You showed me a beautiful picture out in North Carolina where you had vibrant colors coming off of a western facing slope, whereas your eastern facing slope was relatively green. And that's because the afternoon sunlight that hits the mountain on the western side is what they call good sunlight. It's the most vibrant, most radiant, and it's what does the majority of the work, especially where photosynthesis is concerned. So whenever you start the fading process of the fall colors per se. Once you start moving from west to east on a mountain range, the eastern side is going to be just a little bit behind. Also, you hit it dead on the head, the slopes. Different elevations are going to turn different colors at different times, but it's also really species dependent. Certain species can't survive in upper elevations as opposed to low elevations, such as your maples. Your maples can survive all the way across the canopy of the forest from the bottom of the mountain to the top, but certain oak species, such as nutall, for instance, cannot survive at the top of the mountain, but it can survive pretty well where there's water.
One of the most, I guess, famous places that we always get pictures from is Harrison, Maplewood Cemetery.
Absolutely.
People want to know, okay, when do I need to head there? I've seen some pictures.
Yeah.
Do you have a forecast on when the peak would happen there, roughly?
I would say, again, going back to your graphic right there behind us, the graphic is showing that, up there we're looking at probably early to mid-November. I would say definitely before Thanksgiving. That would definitely be the times that I would really plan the trips up there. So, in Arkansas, we know that deer season's right around the corner. I'd say once deer season hits, if you're not on the deer stand, then get out there and check out the beautiful scenery that Arkansas has to offer.
We talked about elevation. Now let's talk about the tree species, because the tree species makes a huge difference on the impact of the colors. Some trees produce yellows, some trees produce oranges, some trees produce just a whole variety of colors, seems like. And when we take a look at the tree species, the one that really stands out, I would say, is going to be the maple, the sugar maple in particular. Grayson, if you just want to go ahead and make sure that we have that graphic, I believe it's just a different type of tree species, and we can go to Storm Track 11, because we do have, those are maples, right? Those are red maples, or?
Those are red maples. Again, you got right there scrolling down the black tupelo, which that's a more swampy area tree.
That's the ginkgo you were talking about.
That is the ginkgo. It's a beautiful tree.
It looks like just gold bars when it just goes
Absolutely.
wild.
It's easy to spot from a mile away, that's for sure. And then, of course, your different oak species are going to have different types of vibrant colors. Some of them will turn red. The shoe-marred oak, I love it because it will turn orangish to red and sometimes vibrant red. It all depends on where it's located at. Then we start looking at the crepe myrtles. Again, that's kind of an ornamental species, so not technically a tree species. Kentucky coffee tree there is not a native species to Arkansas. However, you can plant it as a ornamental around your property, and that thing will produce some of the most vibrant orange colored leaves that you can possibly imagine. And then the aforementioned sugar maple right there. We do have 3 particular species of maple in Arkansas that survive at different areas, being red, silver, and sugar, and all of them produce their own vibrant colors. The sugar is more orange to red. The silver maple is going to be almost yellowish to a little twinge of orange, and then your red maple is definitely going to be red.
Yeah, red almost looks like the tree's on the fire, I'd say.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, we have seen other trees. There are maples that you see in residential developments, that you see in commercial parking lots. They've already started to change.
They have.
What's the reason behind that?
I'll tell you hit it dead on the head whenever you said residential areas. So what they're getting is that concrete jungle effect. They're getting a lot of radiant sunlight from the bottom rather than from the top. A lot of reflection, a lot of sunlight coming from the bottom. I've always said trees are not made to be in a concrete area. They're not made to be next to a tree or a building. They're not made to be in a parking lot. They're meant to be in the forest. So whenever they're getting all these, it is a slight stress factor, which makes them go into dormancy just a tad bit earlier.
So they're getting tricked for the most part by artificial light. One tree I did not see on there, which a lot of people always love, because it is pretty in the fall.
Yeah.
It comes out very much nice crimson red. The Bradford pear tree.
Oh.
Now we're getting controversial.
We could have gone all day without talking about the Bradford or Calorie pear. From an extension standpoint, we have a really strong stance on Bradford and Calorie pear. But yes, from what you said, once they start turning, they do have vibrant colors. However, I think that the negative on Bradford and Calorie pear outweigh the positive, so I'm not going to really go into it all that much.
States are making them illegal.
They are.
Like,
they are.
I think South Carolina has made it illegal. And I mean, I don't like them at all. One, because a little breeze will break them and snap them. They're just very poorly designed with the branch structure.
They are.
And then also you got the fish smell during the spring. But
Absolutely.
still some places like to sell them. And
They do. And you know, we see it so much now. They've adapted, Cal Repair have adapted to the wild. You know, we're seeing them more in forest settings, and you know, that's a whole nother topic. But in the springtime and in the fall time, you can pick them out in the forest just that fast. In the springtime, they're the very first one to turn white, and of course, like you said, the smell that goes along with it. And in the fall, they're the very first ones that turn really, really vibrant red, which is interesting because their leaf structure is similar to evergreens in that thick, waxy feel, but they still shed their leaves just like a normal deciduous tree.
interesting. When people go out and want to choose a tree for their yard, especially this time of year, they want those vibrant colors. They want a red maple, they want a sugar maple that's going to come out orange. What suggestions would you tell somebody looking to buy a tree right now?
First thing I would do is make sure that you know why you're planting, where you're planting, and when you're planting. Those are the three main ones. Why are you planting it? Is it for shade? Is it for the beauty? Know where you're planting it. Are you too close to your house? Are you next to a field line or a septic line? Are you underneath the power line, something that will inhibit that tree from growing? And last is, when are you planting? You have to plant a tree whenever it's in dormancy. So that's usually between the end of November all the way through February and March.
Did not know that. So you do not want to plant a tree when it's July,
No.
hot and humid. It just won't survive.
Well, the thing is that tree, again, is taking up nutrients from the soil, and it's doing its best to survive in a natural environment. If you dig it up, you're taking it away from its nutrient source, and you're stressing the tree out to the max. If you try to transplant a tree or plant one in July, unless you baby it as best as you possibly can and make sure it has everything that it needs there, then yes, the tree is almost intimately going to die.
So you can't be spontaneous in saying, hey, let's just plant a tree today, anywhere in the yard, because 20 years down the road, this 7-foot tree that you bought is now 30 feet high, and the roots are starting to mess up your foundation. And like you said, a septic tank, even though you might think, oh, this tree is looking beautiful, it's doing a great job, you don't know what's happening underneath.
Absolutely. Now, one thing to take into consideration is the root ball of most trees is going to be 1.5 times the size of the crown of the tree itself. So you can assume that the roots will at least stretch to there. Now, in drought conditions, they will chase water and they will go out even further. Septic lines and field lines and underneath foundations of houses where there's a lot of water that's being kept and stored is a great place for the roots to run. So yes, be very selective with where you plant your trees, because they will destroy things that you have to have for normal survival, especially in the household.
And that's why you're the tree expert. I mean, I'm learning a lot today. So when we get a new house and we have to plant trees, that's something that I'm definitely going to keep in mind. Maybe the tree is starting to change right now. You're not expecting it. It's not just because it's October, it could be other reasons behind that.
Yeah, and today I'd say that the majority of them are because we're getting into the fall leaf fall. I do. However, if you start seeing trees start to shed leaves early, say in late July, August, then probably we have a problem. And that's where you can contact your local county extension agent anytime you want to, and they come out and assess your trees, your forest. We do everything from commercialization all the way to the individual homeowners.
Yeah, and we have a website on that, Grayson. If you can pull that up for me real quick, appreciate it. That's on Storm Track 11, by the way, Perry. It should be one of those tabs. I don't know which one it is, but you've got great resource there, and just the fact that anybody can just contact you. You'll come out to their property, assess the damage, and give them a clear answer and suggestion on what steps they need to take, versus, hey, I have this app, I took a picture, but that's not necessarily going to give you the right answer.
Yeah, and we'd highly encourage the pictures to come in from the landowners, because that gives us an idea of how to assess the tree whenever we get there, or the forest whenever we get there. The main thing is take good pictures. If you're going to take them, make sure you have a good contrasting background so we can see exactly what we're looking at. Take pictures up close, afar, take as many as you can. Well, just don't send us one picture and say what's wrong with the tree. But again, every county in Arkansas has an agriculture agent, and that website that they just showed, uaex.uada.edu, you can go to and find your county extension agent, and whenever you do, they will assess the problem. If they have a question, then they call me. We come out, do a site visit, and we do our best to help you fix the problem.
That's a great resource to have.
Absolutely.
Every county has somebody that you can call and ask. And it's not just trees, it's flowers, it's
everything.
vegetables, anything with the garden. Like, I got an issue with a bug eating my cucumbers and squash.
Well, and it goes beyond that as well. We also have family and consumer science agents that deal with home economics, healthy living, things of that nature. We also have a great 4-H program, and most of the counties have 4-H agents as well. So if your kids are interested in trees, we have forestry programs that they can join in as well.
Awesome. So what would you say is the best place for somebody that's looking for fall color in the state of Arkansas? Where would they go?
Right now, there's hands down, I would be traveling through Bobby Hopper Tunnel going north. Once you get through Bobby Hopper Tunnel, the mountains should be very orange, very yellow, very red, and then just kind of follow them all the way back. I'd say that by mid-November, again, that Hot Springs area, Garvin Gardens, everywhere up Highway 8 and Highway 7 up in that area should be absolutely phenomenal, especially if we get the rain that y'all are calling for here in about a week or so. And if we can just get a little bit more rain towards the end of the month here, then it should make those colors pop in early November.
Hopefully we don't have the wind with the rain.
Absolutely.
I've seen that happen too. Like, oh, it's gonna be a great fall color, and then you get a cold front, winds are 30 to 40 miles per hour, and it's raining leaves, not just liquid precipitation.
That's what we call leaf day.
Exactly. Well, Jarrett, it has been a pleasure having you here today. I learned so much about trees. I thought I knew quite a bit, but you are a wealth of knowledge when it comes to that. And hopefully our viewers will take advantage of the resources that the University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture has across the state, because a lot of people probably don't know that. Not every state has something like this.
Absolutely.
It seems like.
And we're part of the land grant system, so we're through the University of Arkansas. Again, go to that website. We're easy to find.
Okay. Anything else you want to say?
No, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for being here. And we'll have to have you on maybe another time to talk about something different.
Hey, the trees got to leaf out in the spring. Let's plan on that.
That sounds great. All right, if you have an idea that you want me to talk about here on Weatherwise, all you have to do is go ahead and email me at nscott@thv11.com or reach out to my Facebook page. One last thing, Jarrett, is there any way that somebody can submit pictures of fall color to a website to say, hey, this is what's happening in my county?
Absolutely. We have several Facebook sites. We have the Cooperative Extension Service website. We have the Arkansas Forestry and Wildlife Facebook page as well, plus the UAM College of Forestry, Ag, and Natural Resource page. We all collaborate together, so submit them on social media, either Facebook or Instagram, and we'd love to see what you got.
And you can also give those pictures to us as well, because we want to see your photos, your fall color photos on THV11. You can, like I said, Facebook, my Facebook page, or you can text them to us, 501-376-1111. You should have that phone number in your contact information, because we want to see everything that's happening across Arkansas, not just fall color, but what you're seeing in your backyard, whether it's a wild animal or maybe just a colorful sunset. We want to know what's happening in your neighborhood. Thanks for joining me here on Weatherwise. I will see you for another episode coming up next week.